The time to acquire a target is a function of the distance to and the size of the target. You might be thinking, whoa, what did I just read? Is this a math equation? So that statement is the summation of Fitz's law. It's named after Paul Fitz, an American psychologist who predicted that the time required to move to a target area is a function of the ratio between the distance to the target and the width of the target. This is not getting any easier to explain, is it? So let's ask ourselves, what is this law actually used for? How does it help us as designers create a better user experience? Well, Fitz came up with this in the 1950s, before computers and their interfaces found their way into our homes and into our pockets. However, the same principles can still be applied today. Let me illustrate this with a story. So, I'm a gamer who's had thousands of hours of mouse precision and hand-eye coordination practice. It pains me to watch anyone who doesn't spend as much time with a screen as I do try to quickly perform a task on a phone or a desktop application. It may only be a fraction of a second longer for them to take the action, but depending on how many actions they're taking in their user journey, these interaction costs add up, and I get frustrated and I snatch the phone away from them so I can order the flippin' Domino's pizza myself. I know I have patience issues, but that's not the point of this video. So my point is, we want to drive interaction costs down by following Fitz's law. How do we do that? I think we need to be intentional about making decisions about how big the surface area is on our interactive elements on the screen and how far away those interactive elements are from the content that we're acting upon. I have two simple examples involving the submit button, pretty common element on a form. I've dealt with making website forms for a while now, and I always ask myself, where does the submit button go? And I think it's very easy to say, I'll just throw it down at the bottom of the form, the user will never find it. I'm sorry. Yeah, the user will find it if it's at the bottom of the form. But what if A, the content in the form is so long that the submit button goes off screen? Or B, what if you're using a multi-step form and the content gets bigger and smaller with each step? In scenario A, say you're importing files and you select from a specific date range. After selecting the date range, the list of files might go off screen. There are several ways to solve this, but if we're focused specifically on Fitz's law, you might do something like make the footer at the bottom sticky so that it stays in the same place, regardless of how much you scroll. That way, you don't have to scroll to the bottom of the list to submit the form. In scenario B, you're going through a form and you have a footer with your form controls in it at the bottom of your form component. Let's say you fix the height of your form so that the height wouldn't grow and shrink depending on the content height. That might be jarring to the user. Well, you'd still have the issue of the submit button being way down at the bottom, even though your form content only fills out the top quarter of that form component. You might have guessed already that we simply move the submit button up so that the user doesn't have to look too far in order to click submit after they've filled out that final input. So these are the tiny improvements that we should consider as designers if we want to optimize for the user's experience. There are many more laws and guidelines that can help us determine how we go about making a good experience. This is the second video in my UX Daily Digest series, and I'll be covering more in the next few videos, so I'd appreciate it a lot if you subscribe for more UX tips and tricks. See you tomorrow.